For thousands of years, Earth spun silently through space, unaware of the ancient danger hidden in its past. Humans believed their history began with the rise of early civilizations, the building of pyramids, and the writing of old languages. But long before any of that, before even the first spoken word, something terrible had happened, something that was erased, buried deep beneath ice, rock, and time itself. No one remembered the war. No one remembered the enemy. But the enemy remembered Earth. And now, after 30,000 years, they had returned. It started with a signal strange, repeating, not like anything humans had ever heard before. It came from deep space, first heard by an old radio telescope in the Australian desert. The message was not just sound, it had structure. A pattern. It repeated 3 words again and again, translated by AI and confirmed by every satellite around the world. Return what was taken. Governments panicked. News spread fast, and soon the entire planet was watching the skies. Then, without warning, they arrived. Massive ships, silent and dark, appeared above Earth's orbit. They didn't fire any weapons. They didn't send diplomats. They just hung there, like watching eyes. Some hovered above oceans, others above deserts and cities. Every nation tried to communicate, but there was no answer, only the same message: return what was taken. No one knew what it meant. Humanity searched its records, its museums, its myths, but there was nothing. Nothing that explained why these aliens had come or what they wanted. But deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, a secret government project had found something strange, a giant object buried under solid ice, older than any human tool, and made from materials not found on Earth. The object was smooth, black, and humming with energy even after thousands of years. It had no openings, no buttons, no marks until the alien ships arrived. Then it lit up. It pulsed with a deep red glow, and every instrument in the lab started to fail. Scientists backed away, frightened, but one brave woman, Dr. Lena Rowe, stepped forward. She was a linguist and archaeologist, known for her work with ancient symbols and dead languages. She touched the object, and in that moment, something incredible happened. Her mind was filled with images, memories that weren't hers. She saw skies burning with fire, giant ships landing on Earth, and strange, tall creatures with eyes like stars. She saw early humans running, fighting, hiding. And she saw something else, something unbelievable. She saw those early humans winning. They didn't just survive, they fought back. They had help from a forgotten ally, a race long gone that gave them strength, speed, and something more important, adaptability. The ability to learn and grow faster than any other species. With that gift, humans fought the alien invaders and took something from them, something powerful. And they hid it on Earth. That was what the aliens wanted back. Not a weapon, not gold, not energy, but something inside human DNA. Something they once used to control life, now living in every man, woman, and child. Dr. Rowe woke up from the vision with a scream. She knew then that Earth wasn't chosen at random. The aliens had waited thousands of years, watched as humans grew and forgot, and now they were here to take back what they believed belonged to them. She warned the world, but not everyone believed her. Some thought it was a trick, a lie. Others believed and prepared for war. The artifact, now called Core 1, was taken to a secure facility, but it was already too late. Across the globe, strange things started happening. Satellites went dark. Oceans shifted. Storms formed where there should be none. It was as if the planet itself was waking up, responding to the old enemy's return. Then, in the skies, beams of light shot down from the alien ships, scanning the Earth, searching. In cities, people began to vanish, those with a certain blood type. Dr. Rowe realized the truth. The aliens weren't here to destroy, they were here to harvest. And Earth was a giant farm they had come back to collect from. But they had forgotten something. Humans were not the same as they were 30,000 years ago. They had grown smarter, stronger, and more united. And most of all, they still carried the fire of that ancient war deep inside them, even if they didn't remember it. That fire was about to rise again. Dr. Lena Rowe stood before the mysterious artifact in the dim light of the underground lab, the strange object pulsing with a rhythm that matched the ancient heartbeat of the Earth. For millennia, the artifact had rested in quiet isolation beneath the Antarctic ice, its surface smooth and dark, its origins and purpose shrouded in secrets from a forgotten age. Now, with the arrival of alien ships demanding the return of something long lost, the artifact stirred and began to reveal its hidden message. As Lena touched the cold metal, a surge of visions flooded her mind, a vivid tapestry of ancient battles, desperate struggles, and a time when the human race was not the fragile species it appeared to be. In these visions, she saw early humans, resilient and fearless, standing shoulder to shoulder against towering alien foes, harnessing a unique, innate power that had been passed down through countless generations. The memories were raw and confusing, yet they carried an unmistakable call to awaken and remember. The artifact, which the world now called Core 1, seemed to speak in a language older than words, using bursts of light and shadow to project images of a time when humanity had fought not only for survival, but for a legacy that had been stolen from the aliens. Lena's colleagues gathered around in silence as the artifact's glow deepened, its pulses growing more intense with every passing moment. Each flash revealed symbols that appeared in ancient cave paintings and whispered in lost myths, all pointing to a truth that many had long forgotten, that the essence of human strength was encoded in their very DNA, and that this power was the key to protecting their future. The lab, filled with blinking screens and anxious murmurs, became a microcosm of global hope and fear as scientists worldwide scrambled to decode the strange language of the artifact. Lena worked tirelessly, piecing together clues from dusty scrolls, forgotten records, and even indigenous legends passed down through oral histories. Every symbol unlocked a part of the ancient narrative, a story of a great war fought in a time before history was recorded, where humans, uplifted by a mysterious ally, had turned the tide against a relentless foe. The visions were as beautiful as they were terrifying, fields of green under burning skies, battles waged in stormy darkness, and moments of triumph that seemed to echo into the present. The artifact revealed that the human race was not a random accident, but a carefully nurtured force designed to possess an extraordinary gift and ability to adapt, to overcome, and to unite against overwhelming odds. Yet, as the images grew clearer, a chilling truth emerged. The aliens, who had slumbered in the shadows of space for 30,000 years, now demanded their lost treasure, a fragment of this human legacy that they believed belonged to them. In every pulse, in every burst of radiant symbols, the artifact communicated the desperate need of the invaders to reclaim a lost part of their own power. The revelation sent ripples of tension through every corner of the globe, as governments and citizens alike grappled with the possibility that their past held not only the key to their survival, but also the reason for the new threat looming from the heavens. The secrecy of Core 1 began to unravel further as Lena discovered that the artifact was only one piece of a larger puzzle, a set of relics scattered across the world, each containing vital information about the ancient war and the unique genetic gift bestowed upon humanity. These relics, once united, could activate dormant defenses hidden in the human genome, defenses that could transform ordinary people into warriors with a strength and resilience that defied the ages. As Lena delved deeper into the mystery, the visions became more detailed and the messages more urgent. She saw flashes of a great council of ancient leaders, men and women of extraordinary vision who had chosen to hide the powerful secret within the very bloodlines of humanity, safeguarding it until the time came for it to be used against the returning alien threat. The images showed not just brutal conflict, but also moments of compassionate unity, tribes and cities, once divided by petty differences, joining together to form a unified force that repelled an enemy far more powerful than any single nation could have ever imagined. With every revelation, Lena felt both the weight of responsibility and the spark of hope. The artifact was not merely an object of ancient origin. It whispered that the secret of survival lay not in weapons or technology alone, but in the courage to remember who they truly were, a people shaped by hardship, bound by a legacy of survival, and destined to rise against any force that sought to rob them of their future. As the scientists continued to study the artifact, its secrets started to echo beyond the lab, reaching the hearts of ordinary people across the world. The slow, rhythmic pulsing of Core 1 became a symbol of unity and resistance, a reminder that the qualities that had allowed humans to overcome past calamities were still alive in every heart. Lena's discovery was both a warning and a warning that the aliens were coming for what they believed was rightfully theirs, and a beacon that showed humanity the path to unlocking an ancient power that could change the fate of the entire planet. In quiet moments of reflection, Lena would sit alone and listen to the soft hum of the artifact, feeling the weight of millennia in its persistent glow. She marveled at how something so silent and still could carry a message so powerful, a message that stretched back to a time when the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred and every human life was a part of a greater story. The artifact's secret was not one of simple science or mere technology. It was a story of hope, bravery, and the enduring resilience of a species that had survived against all odds. With a deep sense of purpose, Lena began to map out the next steps, a plan to seek out the other relics hidden in remote corners of the Earth, each said to hold a piece of the ancient puzzle. The journey would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, as the alien fleet grew ever closer and the global tension escalated to the brink of war. Yet, Lena and her colleagues held on to the belief that the path to true strength lay in unity, in a shared understanding of their profound connection to the past. The artifact beckoned them to rise above the fear of the unknown and to embrace the possibility that, within every human being, lay the power to defy even the most formidable enemy. The ancient symbols, once thought to be mere relics of a bygone era, now shone with renewed significance, urging humanity to awaken the latent power within and reclaim the legacy that had been hidden for thousands of years. And so, as the nights grew longer and the alien shadow loomed larger over a fragile but determined world, the secret of the artifact served as a rallying call, a call to remember, to unite, and to harness the strength that had made humanity not just survivors, but champions in a timeless struggle for life itself. When the satellite signal first detected an unnatural energy surge beneath the sands of the Sahara Desert, no one expected it to unravel the deepest secret of human origin. A research team, led by Dr. Eshan Malik, was sent to investigate what was initially assumed to be an ancient meteorite or a rare geological event. What they found was something far older than the pyramids, older than recorded time itself, a sealed chamber buried hundreds of meters below the Earth's surface, untouched for thousands of years. The entrance was covered in strange markings no one could recognize, glowing faintly when exposed to light. Inside, the walls were lined with smooth metal that hummed like a heartbeat, and at the center of the room stood a tall obelisk-like structure that pulsed with a blue light. As the team worked to decipher the markings, it became clear that this was no burial site or temple. It was something far more advanced. The symbols were a language, but not one made by any known civilization. They hinted at timelines and events that contradicted every known theory of human evolution. Dr. Malik noticed a repeating sequence that matched the human genome and realized this was not a tomb. They had discovered a vault of knowledge left behind by a civilization that understood human DNA at a molecular level, far before humanity had even invented writing. As the symbols were translated piece by piece, a stunning truth came into focus. Humanity did not evolve alone. Long before any empire rose or language was spoken, there had been contact, an ancient race of beings who had interfered with early human ancestors, not to conquer or destroy, but to prepare. They had seen potential in humans, potential unlike any other species in the galaxy, and they had guided that growth in secret, embedding knowledge into human DNA that could only be unlocked when the time was right. And now, after countless generations, that time had come. Dr. Malik's team discovered that the obelisk was not just a monument, it was a key, a trigger designed to activate the hidden code buried within the human race. When the final sequence was entered, a shockwave of invisible energy spread across the planet, undetectable to most, but deeply felt by those with awakened minds. People around the world began experiencing visions, dreams filled with strange stars, unfamiliar voices, and memories that were not their own. Forgotten instincts stirred. Skills and knowledge appeared without training. Children spoke of technologies that hadn't been invented. And slowly, a new understanding began to take shape. The chamber had not just preserved history, it had released it. Governments tried to keep the discovery quiet, fearing mass panic, but the changes were too widespread to contain. A wave of strange awakenings swept across cities and villages alike. Artists painted the same alien landscapes. Scientists suddenly solved theories they had worked on for decades. Soldiers began fighting with impossible reflexes, and ordinary people found themselves able to manipulate light and matter in small but undeniable ways. Something ancient had reawakened, something that had been a part of humanity from the very beginning. Yet, with this awakening came danger. The vault had been a beacon, and the energy pulse it released had reached far beyond Earth. Across the void of space, a slumbering enemy stirred. They had once tried to enslave humanity's ancestors, only to be stopped by the very beings who had hidden the code in human DNA. Now, those enemies were returning, drawn back by the signal they thought had been silenced forever. Dr. Malik realized that the ancient civilization had not just prepared humans to survive, they had prepared them to fight. The unlocked history revealed everything: the story of a galactic war, of humanity's role as a last hope, and of the betrayal that had buried the truth in darkness. The chamber had shown that early humans had once fought side by side with advanced allies, wielding abilities fueled by the energy of thought and emotion. But when victory had seemed near, one among the allies had betrayed the humans, leading to the loss of knowledge and the sealing of the code until humanity was ready to stand alone. Now, that traitor's descendants were among the stars, approaching once again to finish what their ancestor had started. Across the globe, the effect of the awakening continued to spread. Dr. Malik worked with others who had been changed by the pulse doctors, engineers, thinkers, warriors. They formed the First Circle of Memory, an underground alliance dedicated to preserving what had been unlocked and preparing Earth for the coming storm. They traveled to other ancient sites hinted at in the chamber-buried temples in South America, submerged ruins in the Pacific, and ice-covered cities in Antarctica, each containing fragments of history and technology designed to help awaken and protect the new human mind. As these pieces were gathered and understood, Earth began to change. A silent revolution was happening, not with weapons, but with awareness. People began to remember things they had never known. They started to see connections between nature, energy, and consciousness. It wasn't just science anymore. It was understanding on a level that felt spiritual and logical at the same time. Humanity was becoming what it had always been meant to be. But the enemy was coming fast. The sky itself began to show strange patterns in the stars, sudden fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field, and sightings of enormous ships at the edge of the solar system. The world stood on the edge of something both terrifying and beautiful. Humanity's history had been unlocked not to comfort them, but to prepare them for war, not with hatred, but with the power of unity and memory. In the final days before the first confrontation, Dr. Malik stood at the edge of the desert where the chamber had been discovered, now a massive research and defense outpost. He thought about what it meant to be human, not just flesh and blood, but memory, courage, and legacy. They were not alone anymore, but they were not dependent either. The sky had changed. No one knew exactly when it began, but something about the stars no longer felt distant. A faint shimmer lingered over the atmosphere, and across the world, scientists reported strange readings in Earth's magnetic field. At first, people believed it was a natural phenomenon, but the truth revealed itself far too quickly to be ignored. High above the planet, hidden in the shadow of the moon, a fleet of alien ships had arrived, silent, massive, and waiting. They did not attack immediately. Instead, they sent a single message that echoed through every device on Earth: "We are here for what belongs to us. Surrender or be erased." Panic spread fast, but fear did not last long. Because this time, humanity was not weak. They had learned, advanced, and evolved. For the last 50 years, Earth had secretly been preparing after decoding a mysterious transmission buried in ancient ice, one that warned of an incoming war and gave blueprints for technology far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. It was called the Sentinel Code, and those who believed in it were labeled fools until now. General Raina Cole, leader of the Earth Defense Alliance, stood at the command center deep beneath Mount Aegis. Her face was calm, but her mind raced with the weight of what was coming. These invaders, known only in whispers as the Tharzul, had wiped out entire civilizations across the galaxy. They saw Earth as a forgotten outpost, rich with resources and home to a species they once dismissed as primitive. But humans had changed. The Sentinel Code had taught them how to bend energy, how to build defensive shields, and most importantly, how to tap into the strange force that existed within the mind itself, what the ancient transmission called the flame. It was not magic, but a deeper understanding of consciousness, allowing trained soldiers to react faster, move stronger, and even sense danger before it appeared. Only a few could unlock it, and they were Earth's last hope. Among them was Cade Voss, a young soldier from the ruins of Old Paris, one of the first to awaken the flame. He had survived the early tests, endured the painful training, and now stood among the elite defenders known as the Ember Guard. These were not just fighters, they were the bridge between humanity's old world and its future. The first strike came without warning. One of the Tharzul warships descended into Earth's orbit and unleashed a gravity pulse that shattered satellites and knocked out power in half of Asia. But the defense grid activated, and for the first time in Earth's history, humanity struck back not with desperation, but with precision. Energy cannons powered by synthetic cores lit up the sky, and fighter ships rose like flocks of birds, swift and fearless. Cade led a squad into the upper atmosphere, his body moving with inhuman speed, guided by instincts that felt ancient and new at the same time. They boarded a Tharzul destroyer in a maneuver that had never been attempted. Inside, the corridors twisted like living veins, and creatures that looked like shadows with bones attacked with claws and whispers. But the Ember Guard held the line, fighting not only for victory, but for every child who looked up at the sky and dreamed of tomorrow. As the battle raged above, General Cole discovered something far worse. The main ship wasn't just an invader, it was a hive. It carried a device capable of rewriting Earth's biosphere, turning the planet into a breeding ground for the Tharzul swarm. If it activated, there would be no future left to fight for. She ordered a full assault, but the enemy shield was too strong. Then came the impossible solution. The original Sentinel Code, when fully unlocked, described a final command, a weapon hidden deep inside Earth itself, a pulse buried under the crust, left by the same ancient race who had sent the warning. It could destroy the hive, but it came with a cost. The energy needed to activate it required the life force of one awakened flame user. Cade volunteered without hesitation. He had seen what the Tharzul had done to other worlds, and he believed in something bigger than himself, the right of humanity to choose its future. As he was transported to the core chamber, his thoughts wandered to the burned-out streets of Old Paris, to the faces of his lost family, and to the dream of a world where children never had to hide from the sky. He stepped into the activation circle, his body glowing with fire-like energy, every memory and emotion now fuel for the pulse. Outside, the battle reached its peak. Earth's defenses began to crack. One more hit, and the hive would release its poison. Then came the flash. A silent wave of white light erupted from the planet's heart, spreading upward like a tidal surge. The Tharzul ship cracked, melted, and vanished in a scream of light and energy. Every remaining enemy ship trembled and fled, and in their panic, they left behind data that would later reveal their empire was not unbreakable. The war was not over, but Earth had won the first real fight. Cade's body was never found, but strange lights still appear over the place where he sacrificed himself. Some say he became part of the flame, now living in every defender who awakens it. Earth changed after that day. The fear of invasion was replaced by the hope of unity. The Sentinel Code was shared openly. New alliances were formed, and humanity began to look outward not just with caution, but with confidence, because they had faced the dark, and they had fought not with fear, but with purpose. And somewhere in the stars, the enemy now feared them. A fight for the future had begun, and humanity was ready. The world had no idea how close it came to ending. In a hidden corner of the galaxy, where time moved differently and laws of nature bent under pressure, something ancient had awakened. It was not a creature, nor a weapon, but a machine built by a forgotten race older than stars and more dangerous than war. It was called the Core Decision Engine, and its only purpose was to choose whether a world deserved to exist. Every 1,000 years, it would awaken, scan a planet's history, its future potential, and make one final judgment. Earth had been marked. Deep beneath Antarctica's ice, buried under layers untouched for millions of years, the core activated. Satellites went blind. Radio signals warped. Earth's leaders were unaware, but a single transmission escaped the machine's prison, reaching a mind chosen long ago. That mind belonged to Ava Raines, a quiet historian working for the Global Archives, someone no one would have imagined to hold the fate of Earth. Yet Ava had something rare. She carried a genetic marker hidden for generations, passed down from those who once encountered the builders of the core. Her dreams had always been strange visions of places she never visited, languages she never learned, and stars that didn't match any known maps. When the message reached her, it wasn't in words, it was a feeling, a pull, a need to go south to the ice. No government believed her. No science could support her claim. But something in her voice, something in her fear, made a few listen. A small expedition was launched, unofficial, quiet, and highly risky. They arrived near the crash of frozen winds and deadly white storms, where even machines refused to function. And there, hidden under a cavern of blue crystal, they found the core. It stood like a tower of black glass, humming with energy, alive but silent. As Ava approached, it opened not with a sound, but with a shift in air that made every hair on her skin stand. Inside, she was alone. The others could not follow. The machine scanned her memories, her thoughts, her deepest fears and hopes. It showed her visions of Earth's future, some filled with peace, others with ash and silence. It revealed every mistake humanity had made, every war, every act of cruelty, but it also showed kindness, love, sacrifice, and growth. And then it asked her the question, should humanity be allowed to continue? She was not told what would happen if she answered no, but she understood. The machine could erase Earth as if it never existed, remove its trace from time and memory, collapsing its timeline into nothing. It had done so before, to other worlds that failed to change, that continued to fall into hate and destruction. Ava stood in silence, frozen by the weight of the choice. Who was she to decide the fate of 8 billion lives? How could she speak for every nation, every child, every dreamer, and every monster? Yet the core would not let her leave without an answer. She remembered her mother, who had died trying to save a stranger during a riot. She remembered her father, a broken man who still planted trees in a dying city. She thought of the news, the cruelty, the greed, but also the breakthroughs, the courage, the people who stood up when no one else would. She whispered her answer, yes. Humanity should continue. The machine paused, and the lights inside it shifted from red to gold. The entire structure began to change. The core collapsed into itself, folding like paper, until nothing was left but a small cube, no bigger than her hand. It pulsed once, then dimmed. Ava picked it up, unsure of what it now was. But when she stepped outside, everything changed. The sky over Antarctica shimmered. The ice began to melt, but not from heat. It lifted, reversed, revealing structures buried beneath the continent, ancient facilities left by the ones who had built the core. The world above panicked at the sudden climate shift, but the leaders were forced to listen when Ava, now holding the cube, stepped forward and explained everything. The truth could no longer be hidden. Humanity was not alone, and Earth had been tested. The core, before vanishing, had left behind more than just ruins. It gave blueprints, technologies to heal the planet, to fix its broken systems, and to connect distant minds. But they came with a condition: they would only function if humanity worked together. No one country could claim them. No one leader could own them. It was not an offer, it was the final part of the test. Over the next months, governments argued, corporations protested, and people feared what was to come. But in time, things changed. Small at first, shared research, open-source energy networks, peace talks that were no longer broken by greed. Humanity stumbled, made mistakes, but kept walking forward. And Ava, who had made the impossible choice, disappeared from the public eye. Some believed she joined a group tasked with protecting the cube. Others said she left Earth entirely, following signals from the ancient builders. Her name became legend. Schools taught about the choice that changed everything, and monuments were built not just for her, but for the moment humanity was given a second chance. But few knew how close they had come to vanishing. And even fewer understood that the core was still out there watching, waiting, and ready to ask the question again if the path ever turned dark once more.